So that says to me there's a lot going on, number one. There's a lot of shared interests, because that's what brings people together, number two. And it makes me more confident that those students are going to, get through, do well, and succeed, because it's built this cohort. So I've been pretty impressed with it.
That's great. And can you give me a few examples of like what you've seen in the students? You've actually spoken to them one Friday and been a guest speaker for them. And what did you really think about that?
Okay, so let's start with this happened at 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon and people came, right?
Yes.
So that's a really good sign. It says students are, participating. And what we know when we look at student success research, we know that if we can get students to participate in something and connect with people, that their chances of success skyrocket. So when I walked in and there was a room full of people, I thought, well, this is good. This is good. Even if I say nothing of value, these people are here and they're participating with each other, and that's a bump. That's a bump for people. So I think that's an example. The other thing I like is the staff seems to understand that with students, if you feed them, they will come, right? So I like the atmosphere that gets built around that. That people seem to know each other as students, and I've heard conversations in the program, everything from discussions of research that people have done either on campus or in the summer, all the way to, what are you doing for the weekend and how was your summer? So it ranges the full length from conversations any student might have to that really specific stuff of the research interest, the science and math interest, the thing that pulls the program together.
Yeah. And from personal experience, actually, we do go out together, we'd have like movie nights sometimes, and we actually do collaborate with the International Club, and we're actually kind of like really close friends with other students in there too. So.
That's great. That's great.
What kind of effort do you believe that the CSTEP program has, effect. What kind of effect do you believe this CSTEP program has had at OCC?
So the effect I look at most carefully is the effect on students, right? Mm-hmm. So last year when I first got here, I happened in conversation with Drake to learn about a number of students who were graduating, and he made sure that they made their way to this office, and I got to have great conversations with really great students who had lots of plans and interests, and I mention that because it seems like that really elevates those students to take advantage of services and support, but also the whole context of a college, right? I'm not a transfer counselor, but I sure know about transfer institutions and people there, and can, bat it back and forth with somebody and really help people think through those kinds of conversations. So I think I see the program really pushing students out to say, experience the full college. And I think that's really important. I also think that when the National Science Foundation looked at the college and said, we want to help STEM scholars at the college, one of the things they knew was that we had this program. So I think it helps in both ways. It helps students access the full range of programs and services, and it helps the college really promote what we hope will be a successful educational experience for students with science and math interests.
That's great. When the college started the CSTEP program, there were many expectations for it. Currently, do you think that CSTEP has measured up to that standard?
So I wasn't here when it got started, but I know that the people in the program continue to set really high expectations for themselves and each other. And so challenge each other to do the best work they can every year. I know that until every single student in the program graduates with a good GPA, nobody's going to rest. Nobody's going to rest. So, does it meet our expectations? It probably does, but it doesn't satisfy people involved because they have such higher expectations for our students.
That's great. What would your message be to the incoming students at OCC that are interested in the CSTEP program?
Join, participate, speak up, get to know your professors, get to know your advisors, your academic support folks, spend time with the students in the program, go to everything, apply for research opportunities. There's so much there that, you know, all it takes is a little spark from you. And if you find that spark in yourself and you just say, okay, I'm going for it, you'll go places you won't even believe.
Okay. And there's this question that says, is there anything else you'd like to add? But there's one question I really would love to ask you.
Sure, of course.
As a CSTEP student, I'm always trying to find out what's the best way that I can participate in my community. How can I make an effect politically or kind of affect other students around me that may be doing the wrong thing. And it may not be necessarily affecting other students negatively, such as people smoking a little too close to buildings, or people like rollerblading or like skating and like
breaking the rules.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm very big on following rules, and I don't really know how to approach that. And how would you recommend someone to do that? Like,
so I would try a couple of ways of thinking about that, Emily. First of all, you know, yeah, there are rules, but I really think of them as sort of community standards, right? And a college to me is really a community, and a lot of what you guys learn in college is going to be replicated not only where you work and you apply the things that you learn, but where you live and you become the leading citizens, right? I hope to retire someday and you can be in charge. I'd be very happy with that. So part of what we hope that you learn and practice here are those tenets of citizenship. So in a larger sphere, how does a citizen, right, tackle a problem in your community? The first thing I would suggest is look for the structures that are there to support you. You have a college student government. They participate in the overall college governance. And they can get a sense of the size of a problem. They can brainstorm things that might help with the problem. They can make recommendations. They can make their point of view known. So that's one route. The other route is to talk to the services that are in your community that are supposed to help with that. So I would recommend a conversation with safety to say, how do you guys approach it? Not to yell at them and say, do it the way I want to do it, but to seek to understand first, right? So, you know, how do you guys approach this? What kind of a problem do you see it as, based with, you know, compared to all the other stuff you're dealing with, to kind of develop for yourself a sense of how does it sit organizationally in terms of governance and service, right? That gives you information. Then you can, I think, logically say from there, all right, the governance folks, they agree with me, it's against the rules. The safety and security people are telling me they don't have the staff maybe to deal with this. Go back to governance and say, you know, we really need to find a way, let's recommend they get more staff, or let's recommend we have a community discussion around smoking under the bridge, or could we put up signs, or is it a possibility that I could get support from my college governance to, you know, take a different action on this because our current action doesn't seem to be getting the results we want. But that's sort of how you practice working through the system. The other thing you can do, and this I think is what we talked a little bit about before, is when you walk through that area, if you feel comfortable, you know, saying something like, you know, our community has a rule about smoking, and it's not just OCC, but public buildings have a rule, and that means 50 feet from the building in a parking lot. And, you know, I wouldn't recommend necessarily staying to win the argument, but sometimes people just either A, don't know, or think nobody really minds.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And is there anything else you'd like to add?
Go team. I'm glad I got to be interviewed for this. Looking forward to the product. I know you guys have been working on it all semester, so that's great. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Turn
all right?
Yeah.
Turn off.